Hi friends, this is Nirmal back again with a new video. Today, for this episode, I thought I'll share some beautiful experiences we family had in our recent trip to Vagamon, a tourist destination in Kerala. So stay tuned. We started the journey at around 6 a.m. in the morning as it was a long journey to Vagamon. It was around 106 kilometers away from our place, so there was around 3 to 4 hours of journey ahead of us. So, friends, our destination Vagamon is sometimes referred to as Scotland of Kerala for its beautiful meadows and tea estates. It's in Idukki district of Kerala and also shares borders with Kottayam district. So the first goal of the day was to have a delicious breakfast. So at around 8 to 8:30 a.m. we reached Muvatupura and we stopped for breakfast. So we found a Sharavana Bhavan, which is a famous vegetarian chain of restaurants in Kerala. Right now, a very serious discussion of who is ordering what is going on over here. So on screen, you can meet my mom, dad, and on the right, my auntie. So finally, we reached a verdict of ordering masala dosha and ghee roast. I went with ghee roast, which is actually a crispier version of dosha. It was served on banana leaves, which made it more special as it is the traditional way to serve meal in Kerala. After breakfast, we took a lot of pictures and then we resumed our journey to reach Vagamon. So we started off from Muvatupura, reached Todupura, and from there on we were planning to go through Muttam, Iratupeta, and later on finally reaching Vagamon. So our journey by far was very comfortable as the road systems were very well maintained and also we had an early start on a Sunday, so traffic was also very less. While we were traveling, we cousins were having a lot of fun inside the van playing all sorts of travel games. As you look outside through the window, the scenery that greeted you there was also always very lush and green. At around 9:15 to 9:30 a.m., we reached Iratupeta town. So from this point onwards, the roads started getting a little bit rougher and narrow. It started getting bumpy, but still the scenery outside the window was always very greeting and wonderful to watch. So as you can see, the state of the road system from Iratupeta to Vagamon was not so appealing and took a lot of time for us to reach Vagamon due to this reason. Even though the roads were rough, the scenery outside was so tempting that we decided to take a small break and soak up the nature around us. Even though this was the peak of summer in Kerala, the climate over here was very pleasant and comfortable. It's always refreshing to take small breaks during such long travels. This helps out with travel sickness and also you get to enjoy the beautiful view. And also moments like this really makes you appreciate how beautiful your own state is. So after taking a lot of pictures and videos, we resumed our travel once again to reach the beautiful hills of Vagamon. So at around 10:30 a.m., which is almost an hour long journey from the last stop we had, we finally reached the first point of Vagamon, which is of some interest. It's called as Karikadu Black Panther Viewpoint or Photo Point. So this location is 12 minutes away from the main town of Vagamon, and this location got famous because of a prancing Black Panther statue. So one side we are seeing sights of beautiful hill ranges and a very steep fall, while on the other side this rock formation can be observed. In this footage you can clearly see how steep this ridge is. So for safety reasons, along the side of the road there are safety railings. So this is the Black Panther statue that I was talking about. So a lot of people were gathering around it, admiring it and taking pictures. We also took a lot of photos, and as it was getting sunnier, we resumed our travel to Wagaman. At around 11:15 am, we reached our first official venue of the day, which is Wagaman Boating. It was only 5 minutes away from town center and was a wonderful facility that allows you to rent a boat as well as explore a tea estate or tea garden. So we were all made to wear a life jacket before entering the boat. The fares were pretty cheap, 50 rupees per head. So totally we were 13 people, so it came around 650 for a boat. They explained that the waters were shallow and it is a safe place, so no one accompanied us. We were rowing the boat on our own, and it was such a great experience. Both my dad and my uncle had prior experience of being in a boat and rowing a boat, so they were taking the lead on giving us instructions on what to do. We were very fortunate to have a pleasant climate all throughout the boating session. Four of us were in charge of rowing the boat at a time, and coordination was key to keep the boat going in a certain direction. So it was actually a very awesome family bonding situation, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. Next up is to explore the tea gardens on the other side of this lake. For that, there is a cute little bridge that connects this side to the other bank of the river. It was getting a little bit sunny by now, but the cool breeze always kept the temperatures very chill. I previously thought that climbing a tea estate is pretty easy, but that was not the case. It was kind of steep and you don't get much grip. So, on my way up, I noticed that most of the tea bushes were covered in green moss that was so pretty and lush. This was such a cool find for me. As the climb to the top started getting more and more difficult, my mother, my auntie, and my cousin brother decided to stay back while the rest of us continued on. Tea all around the world is a favorite beverage for many people. Most of our day is not complete without a cup of tea. So, the tea that we drink comes from bushes like this. The official scientific name for a tea bush or a tea plant is Camellia sinensis, which belongs to the Theaceae family. Tender new growth and leaf buds of this particular shrub you see around us is what is used for making tea. So, have you ever seen a flower from a tea plant? This is how it looks. So, after some more climbing, we reached the topmost point of this tea cultivated hill. From here, you get a complete view of the landscape. So, amidst the tea bushes, I found a wild variety of Milastroma, which was also cool. So, after exploring the tea gardens, we decided to take a small break. From here, you can see other people enjoying the boating. So, on our way back from the boating facility, we found this farming tractor kept for display and took complete advantage of it. We took a lot of pictures, and it was such a wonderful place. I highly suggest anyone who comes to Wagaman to check this place out. So after boating and exploring the tea estates, it was almost 12:45 to 1 o'clock in the noon, and we all decided to make a stop for lunch. We found a restaurant named Wagaland, which was situated in the center of Vagamon town. So we decided to have our lunch from there. So this was the beautiful view that we were greeted from the balcony of this restaurant. So that also added to the experience. Well, lunch was very tasty and fulfilling. I ordered chicken biryani, while some of my travel mates ordered meals with fish curry. So lunch was done by around 1:30 p.m. and we were all set to go to the next venue. So guys, this is the typical landscape you can expect to see in Vagamon when you move from place to place. So next on our checklist of place to visit was Vagamon Pine Valley. So it's actually around 17 minutes away from the place where we had lunch. So, in order to reach the entrance of the Pine Valley, we have to walk through a narrow pathway that has a lot of street vendors. They were selling all sorts of stuff that included toys, homemade chocolate, snacks, etc. By far, this was the most busiest spot in Vagamon. So you have to pay an entrance fee of 10 rupees for an adult and 5 rupees for a child to enter the Pine Valley. As a nature lover, my eyes locked on the clumps of moss that was growing on the pine trees. It was such a beautiful moss that I have never seen before. So, whenever you get a chance to visit this wonderful place, a word of caution: the entire forest floor is very slippery due to dried pine needles stacking up on the soil. So, it's always recommended to wear proper footwear. As a nature lover, I was getting more and more dramatic and overexcited for small details I found in the forest. In the meantime, my cousins were having the time of their life, rediscovering their inner child, playing with bubbles, and having a lot of fun. Another interesting thing that we found on most pine trees in this forest was the exoskeleton left behind by cicada insects, which are also called as forest buzzers. For a tropical dweller like myself, who is so used to the imagery of coconut trees and mango trees, seeing such a landscape is such an escape from reality, and it evokes a sense of mystery and magic. So, as we moved further downhill, we reached an opening where we get a different perspective of the beautiful pine trees. Unlike other locations in Vagamon, this place is always crowded with a lot of tourists, and it was such a wonderful place, totally worth it. Like I mentioned earlier, while moving around in this forest, make sure not to fall and use the pine trees as a support. We also came across wild patches of polka dot plant all around the forest floor. So, after spending some quality time in this wonderful and fascinating pine forest, it was time for us to move on to our next location. Our next destination was the Meadows of Vagamon. It is one of the most famous and well known places in Vagamon. In fact, this is the place that put Vagamon on the tourist map. So it was just a 9-minute journey from the Pine Valley to the meadows. So, just like the pine forest, there was a small entry fee of 10 rupees for an adult and 5 rupees for children. The meadows were quite brown and dry because it was summer season. As we enter the facility, there's a fish spa where you can just give 100 rupees for a 10 minutes pedicure by fishes. Unfortunately, our time at the meadow was cut short because of heavy downpour and the park immediately closed. Most of us got drenched in the rain and we thought it's best to call it a day, so we started our return journey. Since Iratupeta route to Vagamon was not very comfortable, we thought of taking a different route back home, so we chose to go through Kanyar. In fact, this turned out to be the best decision of the day as we were greeted by thick fog and it was such a beautiful place. Later on, we got to know that the fog or mist that surrounded the route was an after effects of the rain or the heavy rain we got at the meadows. So all our disappointment of missing out the meadows was totally compensated by this experience. Also, this route turned out to be very well maintained and the roads were of good standards. At some times, the fog was getting really thick that we were getting worried how we'll drive through it. We took 2 to 3 stops on our way to Kanyar just to enjoy this fog and to get the chill of the fog. There were several tea gardens on this route as well, and we took the opportunity to take a lot of pictures and enjoy the tea gardens once again. After an hour or so of driving very slowly through the fog, just to be very careful, it finally cleared up, and the views that we got after this was breathtaking. The views were very awesome, but try not to get too distracted as the roads were getting a little bit adventurous. There were a lot of hairpin curves and sharp turns. So, if you come through this route, drive carefully. So, friends, that was our day in Vagamon. It was such a nature lover's paradise, so I thought of sharing our experiences through the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. At around 9:30 p.m., we reached Alua and we stopped for a wonderful dinner. I know we only covered certain locations in Vagamon and there are several more awesome places to visit there, but it was a one-day trip and time was of the essence. Anyways, guys, that's our day at Vagamon. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope this video will prove to be helpful whenever you think of going to Vagamon. So friends, for more such videos regarding gardening as well as nature, check out my channel. Until we meet again, it's Nirmal signing off.